You smell what the Rock is cooking.
Acknowledge me.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
We are bad to the bone. Get it? Bad to the bone.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
I'll fight anybody. Who do you want? Just let me fight him.
Let me tell you something, Jim Ross.
Mega power, yeah. We got it for you.
We are the best of the best.
Woo! Wheeling dealing. Smart marks.
And that's the bottom line, cause Stone Cold said so.
Yo, what's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode right here on Talk 'em in the Building, a pro wrestling podcast where we talk about the promo. That's where we concentrate. Except today, we're going to pivot a little bit. We're going to hit you with one of our Mount Rushmore episodes. You know, we love to talk about the Mount Rushmores and here in the IWC. We love to debate about it. Oh, everybody has their Mount Rushmores, but we do it a little different. So if you go back and check some of the past episodes, you'll see we talk about our Mount Rushmore of WrestleMania matches. Not necessarily our Mount Rushmore of best wrestlers and things to that effect. So before we get into what we're going to talk about today, I got to throw it over to my homie here in Atlanta, not too far from where I'm at now, Adrian.
Yes, sir.
Repping the dogs on the shirt.
Always.
And then all the way over in the West Coast, over in the City of Angels, Adelaide. How's it going?
Hey, man. Doing it up. Happy to be here, man.
Nice. So, all right, y'all. I know you guys have an idea of what we're going to talk about today, but we're going to do it a little bit different. So in celebration, as we all know, we're all wrestling fans. You guys are watching right now, you're a wrestling fan. Whether it's AEW, WWE, old school NWA, Jim Crockett, GCW, TNA, NXT, whatever. New Japan, let me throw you in there too. I know somebody's going to flip back. Why didn't he say New Japan? Well, here's what we're going to talk about today. In celebration of TNA getting their TV deal on AMC. It's debuting on January 15th. So I thought that was pretty cool. We talked and I've heard so many Mount Rushmores about TNA.
Right.
So if we think about TNA, Adelaide, who's the first person? We're not talking about Rushmore yet, but who's the first person that comes to your mind?
Like long term for the whole
TNA
deal?
as a whole.
AJ Styles, easy. Okay.
All right.
With the bullet.
Yeah. No pun intended.
Hey.
Adrian, outside of AJ, who comes to your mind?
Outside of AJ, I got to go with Broken Matt Hardy. That's what brought me back to TNA. Watching it consistently was because of those cinematic segments and all of that stuff from the very beginning through the transition of him being Broken Matt Hardy to Jeff becoming broken to them being tag team champions. Like that was cinema to me. Like I love that. I love that.
That was a cool era.
Yeah.
We'll unpack that here in a minute. And for me, I think Jeff Jarrett. I mean, I always think about, of course, AJ to me is the Sting, is the franchise. Mm-hmm. But without Jeff Jarrett, you don't have TNA. But so we're gonna do our TNA Mount Rushmore today. But the challenge to you fellas is we can't use AJ, we can't use Jeff, Jarrett. We have to look at I said the past 8 years, not the OGs. Because to me, if we go back to the OGs, we're looking at America's Most. We're looking at Abyss. I would even argue Kurt Angle. A lot of people don't realize they sleep on the fact that Kurt Angle had more time in TNA than he had in WWE.
Definitely.
And if you go back and look at his catalog, I would argue all day long he had better matches in TNA than he ever had in WWE.
Yeah.
And he'd argue the same with you.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Some of those matches he had with Joe, AJ, I mean.
Chris Daniels.
Yes. I mean, there's so many people from back then that it's so nostalgic to think about where TNA used to be and to where they are today.
Yeah.
But that's why I wanted to challenge you guys and say, you know what, I don't want to think about the OGs because when you hear it, I mean, Adrian, I'll just throw it at you really quick. Think about OGs. Give me your top 4.
I mean, top 4, mind you, super casual on TNA early on for me. But Jarrett makes sense as one of those staples. I gotta give Sting props because that's the introduction of Joker, Sting, and that whole gimmick that even was carried on to his AEW days. Kurt Angle for sure for me, and Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy was a big deal for TNA for me.
Yeah, well, he was a big deal. If you think about it, he was one of the ones that he was there. Then he came back on that Monday when they tried to go head to head with WWE.
Right,
he was a big piece of that. Ali, what about you? Your 4 OGs.
And I don't want to. I kind of Adrian took a few of them out of my thought pattern here, but if I'm gonna keep adding to the list, I got to go newer a little bit. So I got to go Joe, right?
Yeah,
I gotta give it a shout out to Christopher Daniels. So one of the unsung heroes of pro wrestling, period.
For sure.
Right? Just to this day, I mean, we got Tiffany Stratton still doing like his finisher and stuff like that. But beyond that, I mean, and it's harder to say because the Hardys, again, I definitely was those cinematic matches, man. Those brought me back. And I'm just gonna put it out there because it's one of my favorite segments in wrestling, probably in recent history, which is not so recent anymore. But Flair and TNA is just a weird existence.
Yeah.
Jay Lethal, I mean, come on.
That's a classic segment. Like
that is classic.
I'm surprised we haven't. We got to do a retro review of that. Definitely have to.
Yeah, for me, I sit back and I think about Abyss. I don't see how you can leave Abyss off that list.
For sure.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And James Storm, or you can throw in America's Most, or you can throw in Beer Money. I mean,
Beer Money, dude.
I mean, and that was a fun era of TNA to me. I remember going to the shows. I mean, I went to Gainesville, Georgia, when AJ was a heel, and and for you guys who don't know, he legit does live in Gainesville. So he came out and he goes, I love y'all. Everybody's just going crazy for AJ. This is the time when he's a straight up heel, and they're going crazy for him. He goes, I love all y'all, but if you make me mad, I'll slap you. And that was about it. That's all he could do, man. They were just going crazy for him. But and I just love going to their shows back then where they used to do in ring. You could come in there and take pictures with them in the ring. Go backstage. We did that. My son has pictures with AJ and Kennedy.
That's dope.
Austin Aries and all these other people. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. And of course they can't do that today, but thinking about the most current, and for you guys who don't know, we normally bring one person, one head of the Mount Rushmore. We had to debate the fourth.
Right.
So out of lead, I'm going to come to you first. Over the past 7-8 years, and, not all of us have all been watching it, right? We had to think about that. TNA's had a lot of ups and downs, and hard to watch on TV, hard to find on TV.
Hard to find, yeah.
Sinclair's had them and put them on their little public access TV.
Was that Destination America?
Oh, yeah. That was pre Sinclair, but I had never heard of that station in my life until I was like, what the world is that?
Some good programming on that as a hunter. Yeah.
Oh, I never watched nothing on it because it wasn't on my station and I wasn't upgrading my cable. So that's when I fell out of TNA. When they moved to Destination America, I was like, well, I got nothing for you. If you're not recapping on YouTube, I'm not seeing you.
Yeah, fair.
Real quick shout out. They have their own Roku channel.
Yes.
Yeah, I had that playing the other day, and it was actually very interesting because the one that popped up, I was at.
Wow!
I was like,
no way.
Wait, it was in Atlanta at Center Stage. It was 2024. It was the at Center Stage.
I went.
Yeah,
we went, right?
I didn't go. No, I would.
That was Mickey's.
It was when Hardy
we went
dove off the Yeah. So I was like, it just happened to turn on. I'm like, wait a second, I was at this show. But Kazarian came out and Joe Hendry and Moose and AJ Francis was wrestling for the title.
Yep.
But all right, I lead. I sidetracked. I had that issue. Give me one name over the past 7-8 years that you would put on your TNA recent Rushmore.
I'm gonna go obscure because I feel like the names that I'm thinking initially we're gonna cover. I have a strong feeling you're gonna say, so I'm gonna backtrack. I'm not gonna choose who I think is the obvious ones for the last 7 years, and it's someone that actually is kind of at the cusp of 2017, that that run, but made a comeback. It's a stalwart of TNA, one that doesn't get talked a lot about, but he's there and he's dependable. That's Eddie Edwards. If you go back to just different eras early on, that transition era where he was champ and he was like really gritty and scrappy and the American Wolves, right? And he's just always been that mainstay, like reliable. He's not going to outshine anybody, but that's almost kind of in a good way because he is who he is, and he broke out of that tag division. But for me, there's also this obviously the Southern California connection where we saw him in PWG having these like banger matches at the tag level, and to see him elevated, at the size that he is ultimately, right? He's not a big dude, but just be consistently just a great pro wrestler who can also, he was decent on the mic. He wasn't like the greatest superstar ever, but when TNA needed it, and when nobody was really hankering to be in TNA, he was their go-to. And there were so many segments where you go back and like Eddie Edwards, top of the card, Eddie Edwards, mid-card, Eddie Edwards, opening match. And they can plug him in anywhere. And he was just that consistent dude in and out. Obviously, he wasn't there, fully for the last, 8 years that we're talking about. But if I can think of that transition period, he's one that kind of stands out to me because he was always that mainstay, right? I think about him in the same sense like the Motor City Machine Guns. I think of those kind of players. If TNA is this cast of characters that kept switching in and out, this was that character that he was brought back, and he always had a place there for some reason.
Nice, that's a good call. That's a really good call. I like that one. And to your point, he was like that utility player. And the cool thing about him to me, I relate him to Kane a little bit from the standpoint of he could do anything, but he always had credibility. Like you could put him in mid-card or lower mid-card or whatever, let him be off for a couple months, and then poof, he could be right in main event, and everybody's like, yep, he's main event. I mean, there was no question, right? He wasn't Jinder Mahal where everybody's like, what the heck? Like it was like, oh yeah, Eddie Edwards is that dude. Nice call. So all right, we got Eddie.
That's a good one.
Adrian, give me one.
Okay, this is someone that initially I wasn't really a fan of. In fact, from another promotion, Moose. I'm going to put Moose in that position because Moose over the years he has progressed. He's shown true progression, and he stayed very committed to TNA. In the sense, like now he is a staple within that promotion. And I do remember him from ROH. He was athletic. He was big. We remember him from being a pro football player. But it was always like, man, he's not that good, but he's athletic and we'll cut him some slack. And that was early on. But then once he got to TNA, it was like, man, he's getting a little better. But at the same point, he kind of stinks early on. Just being honest. But he's a big dude. He's a powerhouse. I mean, we dealt with Goldberg stinking for plenty of years. But this guy was a big deal. And it was infectious. And it's gotten to the point now, fast forward to TNA interacting with NXT. He comes out. He's TNA. He's Team TNA. If you have smoke that's pertaining to this brand, you got to go through that guy. And he's putting together some really fun, memorable matches. The show that we went to, if I'm not mistaken, that was Moose and what's my guy's name? Now my brain is not. Man, what is his name? I forgot. The thumbs up, thumbs down guy. Who is
Sammy Callahan.
Callahan. Both of them had like a horrors match or some hardcore match that Raven was in attendance to and whatnot. And it was a fun match, and it was good, and it was safe as safe as it possibly can be, showing that Moose is more trusted, and he's not getting guys hurt. He's not just wrecking people for the sake of him looking like a powerhouse, and I respect that. He's being a true professional, and even though if I had a conversation with myself 5 years ago, we would be going back and forth like, no, dude, I don't agree, and da-da-da. I've grown to become a fan of Moose.
I had that conversation with you 5 years ago.
100%. 100%. Because I was adamant that I completely hated Moose.
Yes,
I hated him. I hated him.
Like, I couldn't figure it out. I was like, because I always liked Moose. Also, I know what he did. So, FYI, when we were in Orlando, at WrestleMania, we're at WrestleCon, and my son loved Moose. He loved the whole Moose type thing, right? And my son's at a hockey tournament, gets busted in the eye. He's with somebody else, sends me a picture. I'm like panic, right? Because I'm in Orlando, he's in Raleigh, North Carolina. And so I'm like, man, so I go to Moose. I'm like, this is long before cameos. And I said, hey, will you record a message? This is my son. He got hurt. We record a message. And he straight up recorded a video just like that.
I remember that.
And yeah, he had no issues. Like, not a dime out for me. Like, I said, you want me to pay? No. He said, man, is he okay? And all that kind of stuff. And he's probably 3 or 4 minute video. And my son just lit up. So I liked him before that. After that, of course, I liked him even more. But yeah, and I remember a couple years ago going, all right, Adrian, you gotta admit, you're like, yeah.
He's gotten better, man. He's really gotten a lot better. You can see it physically. Like, it's insane to think this dude is already a specimen. Like, he just finished playing NFL football. Like, make no mistake about it. Like, he's not just walking around just sloppy. Like, this dude's already a specimen. Now it's a whole different level. Like, it's crazy. So, I mean, respect to him, shout out to him in that sense. I've grown to become a fan of the guy.
It does my heart good to know that that's the person you put on there. Just because
I had to.
Idlead, you just don't realize the hate this man had. Like, you just don't realize. It was like No Way Jose level. It was that. It was there. It was.
In fact, in New Orleans, like that Mania, we went to a TNA show. I forgot. I want to say it was TNA Lucha Underground. And we were front row, and Moose came out, and I literally booed the out of him out. And he just took it like a champ. So salute to him.
Nice. All right, so I'm gonna bring my person, and I struggle. I got 2 of them. I'm not gonna go with 2, and I'm actually not a big fan of this person, to be honest. I'm more of a fan of the other one that I'll bring up when we debate our 4th. But Josh Alexander. I'm just I'm not a fan of his for the right reasons. When I say that, like, he's boring to me, not in the ring, boring character wise.
Got you.
So he doesn't connect with me that way. So his matches on point, the gimmick's okay to me. It just wasn't a connection for me, and there's nothing wrong with that. So before anybody comes at me, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But I put him up there because what he did. I feel like he was somebody who really stabilized, kind of like Eddie Edwards, kept the TNA product going and brought credibility. I think his style brought credibility. He brought stability. He wasn't, it went like in and out. He was there for a while. I'm not sure how long his title reign was, but it was for a long time too.
Yeah, he held him down.
Yeah, and I just look at Josh Alexander, and I kind of wish he was still there. I mean, that's one of those things. I feel like him and Eddie Edwards, I wish they were realizing the fruits of their labor, because I don't think TNA is where it's at right now without what they did.
100%. And I even remember Josh Alexander defending his title on Memphis Championship Wrestling.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, like
that's random.
Those were dark times for TNA. Like it was like, man, we're buddying up with Memphis Championship Wrestling, and it was working. It was fun. It was fun as a wrestling fan to be able to watch it. But I definitely agree with that. Josh Alexander definitely deserves to be on there because he held that company down.
Yes.
Great matches, consistent. Even, I mean, when you talk about guys that played through injuries and all that sort of thing, he was putting his body on the line in multiple matches. I remember him, like you remember his quick feud with Bubba Ray or Bully Ray?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was putting his body on the line, dude. He's putting his body on the line. So, yeah, I much respect to him for that. Much respect.
So I just looked it up. He was with two-time champion. Well, his first one was only 3 minutes, but his second one was 335 days, which was a record.
Nice.
Breaking Bobby Roode's previous record of 256. So
nice.
Yeah, and he wrestled like, I remember him, Kazarian, Edwards, and others. So any debate? I have no debate about y'all's picks. Any debate about anybody else's pick for these first three?
No, our initial three are locks, and it's no debate. You can't debate it. So it is what it is.
You chose exactly who I thought we were gonna pick. So
I was curious to see if anybody put Moose on there, because if y'all hadn't chosen Moose, I was going there.
Yeah,
he's got to be up there. He's got to be up there.
It did my heart good to see it be Adrian that picked him.
I had to, man. I'm gonna call it down the line, man. I'm gonna call it down the line.
All right, so Adrian, I'm gonna come back to you since I start off with Adelaide first. All right, who's your vote for number 4?
I got a wild card, man, because initially I wanted to just go ahead and throw in Matt Hardy because of the broken Matt Hardy, the broken Hardy saga. I've talked about it multiple times where I think when, a couple years when we're older and gray, I'm gonna wind up renting a theater and playing the segments that led to that because of the level of sentiment it was. And I think that's an easy layup of a pick. The person that I'm going to vote because of those exact reasons, wild card, Jeremy Borash.
Oh, man. Okay.
He produced those segments.
Yeah.
Damn near a genius. And he put in a lot of work and grind with TNA that goes underrated and unrecognized. So for that reason, I got to say, Jeremy, you're the 4th member of that Rushmore. That's my nomination.
My only debate on that is I think he left in 2018, 2019.
That's when WWE
right
got him.
On that edge. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that's the only debate I could have is that if he meets the criteria. But beyond that, I can't argue that one.
Yeah.
That's a good call. I like that one. And Borash is beyond underrated.
Absolutely.
Oh man.
Absolutely. He's doing great work now with WWE, with AAA. Like they're now saying like he's a part of the creative with AAA. I know before he was working heavily with NXT. Like you can see his influences on that kind of stuff.
I mean, it's funny to me, and we haven't had a lot of these discussions, but you look at the landscape today of the biggest company in the world.
Right.
And it's being run by DX.
It's crazy.
And half the supporting cast is TNA.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, think about it. Borash, Bobby Roode, Abyss.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy to think. And then, of course, you got Shawn Michaels and Triple H and Road Dogg running all the rest of the stuff. Like, I've listened to another
TNA.
Yeah, 100%. It's just crazy. And I'm like, that's wild. Like, Vince would be turned over as great if he was dead. But he's not. So it's like crazy. All right, Adelaide, give me a name.
Oh, man. It's a tough one because I want to go with a name that we threw around or we alluded to, but I'm gonna call it what it is only because she kind of just got there. Jordan Grace has to be in the conversation, at least because of how much she meant to that division and what she represents now for that division ultimately. I was throwing out a couple names that are, male, female, doesn't matter here, but that are equally kind of impactful. But even during that short run she had, I remember seeing her years ago when TNA did not do too many Southern California runs for a while. They would tend to stick to the South or the East Coast. It would be rare they did like a West Coast run. Mm-hmm. But I caught a West Coast run, and it was her and Tessa. Those were your mainstays. That was it. Everybody else, it was Ethan Page, it was Josh Alexander, it was everybody that we mentioned up to the night. And she came out and she wrestled a tag match with Scott Steiner. Like, she wrestled with the boys. Mm-hmm. Right? And this was a very small roster that night, which was already very telling of, like, one, this is back in the day when Don Callis was still on commentary. This is how far back I'm going to, which seems like a lifetime ago. And that crew ran small. It was Josh Matthews on commentary. It was Don Callis. And there she was. And she was part of one of the little semi-main events, and she knocked it out of the park. Not the specimen she is now, but clearly there was something there, right? This was in the lead up, I think, around the time she gets that all-in spot at that pay-per-view, right? Where she's like one of the participants in the men's match. So for me, I don't know if she's like this pillar of TNA, of modern TNA, but I think she represents something about TNA being a bit of an incubator for talent, for better or worse, because obviously now she's in WWE through this relationship and whatnot. But here's someone who bet on themselves too. And I can't deny that she represents something for that division, beyond just being a knockout, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good pick.
That's a good pick. She's similar to who else we've talked about, right? During that time frame, for a company who had such a revolving door of talent, she was a mainstay.
Yeah.
And she kind of helped solidify that knockouts division. Yeah, it's a good pick. And definitely one that I had thought about. I'm a huge Jordan Grace fan, and it was cool meeting her at that TNA show here in Atlanta. And she was like, "Are you coming tomorrow night?" And I said, "Nah, I got to go to volleyball." And she was like, "Oh yeah, you got to do the kid thing." I said, "Yeah, but you know, the next time I see you is gonna be in WWE." And she just started smiling, and that was it. And it was the end of that conversation.
Yeah,
but we just stood there and talked for a moment, which was really cool because giving her her props, like Joe Hendry's over there signing, the Hardys had a line out the freaking door, and then she's just spending time talking, and she was really cool. And so I'm gonna throw another one out there that I'm not a fan of, and I have never been a fan of this person.
Okay.
Again, not a knock on his matches, but I just never connected with me. And it's Sami Callihan.
Okay.
I think he was somebody else who was a steadying talent. 17, 18, 19, somewhere in that area, 20. But I just felt like he brought a little different type of attitude, a different flavor to TNA, coming off of his NXT run, which was very different than this. And I thought he was able to be himself, but I think he did bring out a lot of edgier side of TNA, but brought out a side of some of these other talents. Like you referenced earlier, Adrian, about Moose. Mm-hmm. He brought out a different side of Moose. He brought out a different side of a lot of guys. Even without him, we don't get the PCO matches. We don't get a lot of things.
Yeah, that's true.
And I just felt like he's somebody who really helped bridge this and is an unsung hero of TNA. It's somebody that people don't think about. I mean, we do think about Eddie Edwards. We do think about Josh Alexander. We do think about Moose. Even Jordan Grace, right? Mm-hmm. Sami Callihan, I think, kind of gets lost in that shuffle during that time frame.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He was definitely a name that I thought about, and you're right that it's interesting because like you see how much of a change physically he made going to NXT, right? He was a different guy.
Yeah.
And he was all about it. That gimmick was gonna go, and then it just dead in the water. right?
Mm-hmm.
And you go from that. Just think of that low light in your career. Here you are. This is the pinnacle of what you want to become, and now you kind of have to start over, right? And most people would have been like, "Well, that's it."
Yeah, screw
This
it.
guy had like another, going on like another 12 years, 11. What is it now? Where's after NXT? I mean, he's semi-retired now, I think, but yeah, I can totally see that.
Yeah, between MLW and TNA,
Yeah.
Where others
that-
would have just been defeated and quit after
Mhm.
that Solomon Crow didn't land.
Yeah.
Like he got back to it, man. He got back to it, and he did a lot of good work at TNA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he did good work as Crow.
Yeah.
I just don't think it was the timing.
They just
was right.
they never really
So
you could tell that they weren't really invested into the gimmick, and
They weren't. And plus, the black and yellow brand at the time,
yeah.
you got to look at what else was around.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Embarrassment of riches, dude.
Yeah.
That roster was stupid.
Yeah.
But not for nothing, man. Not to make it about PWG, but like literally, Regal would go to PWG, and then like 2 months later, like, all right, like your main event was signed, basically, and he was in that crop, like you said. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so we got to talk about this fourth person. So we already got Moose.
Yeah.
We already got Eddie Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
And we got Josh Alexander. So now, do we go Borash, Grace, or Callahan?
I'm going to stand 10 toes down on my nomination just because creatively, again, and his dedication to that brand. Jeremy definitely deserves that recognition because I think to this day, we still don't give that dude enough recognition for what he's contributed to pro wrestling in the past decade. And I think that I know for a fact Matt and Jeff, they deserve plenty of credit, and their entire Hardy family for those broken segments and the whole storyline and all of that. But someone had to have the production vision to bring that all together. And Jeremy did that. And for a brand, for a company that was dead to rights, like everyone wrote off TNA. Like, no, make no mistake about it. Even if you were a diehard pro wrestling fan, like all three of us were, a lot of us counted out TNA. And the saving grace around that time was that broken Hardy series, that broken Hardy storyline and all of that. A lot of us were paying attention because of that. We were seeking it out, and he's a major part of that. I respect both of your nominations, but I think this guy played such a major part in something that really fueled TNA through some tough times. That's my stance on it.
Okay. Adelie, what you got?
In regards to Jordan, I think I can't argue, I'll make my argument for Jeremy in a different way, but as far as for Jordan, I think she represents a monumental shift in what you can be outside of WWE, because look, she was doing it long before AEW was kind of like in the wheelhouse and, doing its thing. And it's someone that already was established. She could go in the ring, but she did a transformation, right? And she took it to the furthest depths that probably any woman could physically, but she matched it, right? She created even a new persona, a new character. And I hate to say it, but like, it's a lot more challenging for a crowd to be accepting of a woman to change that radically than it is for a male, right? Because she got a lot of backlash, like, oh, you look like a man, or you're too muscular, which are all the worst things you can say to a woman who's like trying to, have this very powerful image, right? Whereas a man, you're like, oh, you look jacked, like, oh my gosh. And even women, that go to the gym, they fear, like, I don't want to get, obviously that dynamic has changed in the last decade or so, which is great. But I think she's faced a lot more adversity than we probably know about ultimately. I know in the news there was something that she came up recently with AI and all this nonsense, and she was very vocal about it.
People being weird.
So yeah, and then just to see her then now obviously embrace this relationship. And we go back to this, right? When we talk about the territories, right? These modern territories, TNA being one of them, so to speak, I guess. But the way she was treated whenever she's made those guest starring roles, if you will, on WWE TV, she's not seen as a secondary character. She's seen as like, here's your TNA women's champion knockout. This is Jordan, and she's there to kick butt, and she's unequal, if not maybe better than like some of the other main roster WWE women. And I think that's very telling also about, number one, that she developed this character, but that now she's embraced. They're willing to run with it. And that would be my biggest argument, is this wasn't a character that was handed to her. I mean, I'm sure she got help, like Adrian is saying. I'm sure there was a hand of producers and whatnot, but this was truly a creation of her own. And that's tough to do when you're already seen in a certain way. And especially in TNA, when, like, let's be real, like, again, when I went to that live show, it was a couple of us. It was It wasn't even an arena. It was an esports venue. This is what we're talking about back then, right? To see her go from that to now to the main roster is pretty incredible, actually.
I feel that.
So my only pushback on Borash would just be because of the time frame we're looking at. You're only looking at about a year.
That's fair.
That's the only pushback I have on Borash. Beyond that, I can't debate that. If we were doing all-time TNA, I would argue he should be on an all-time TNA over Jeff Jarrett. Like, I would say he's such a creative person behind the scenes. For Sami Callihan, I feel like he was a steadying person who came in, reinvented himself, and put TNA basically ahead of himself. Like, he brought a different era to TNA, a different match style to TNA, a different, TNA kind of flirted with the whole hardcore stuff here and there, but it was always a recycled ECW person, right? It was a Bully Ray or a Raven or somebody like that. Whereas Sammy came in, and yeah, he had the NXT run, but that didn't matter. He came in and reinvented himself, and totally was not Crow. And so that would be my argument for Sammy, is from that perspective. And he elevated a lot of people. I felt like he was very selfless. I would say his matches with Penta were really good. And that's one thing about him. He could work with anybody. And it felt like he never had a problem losing to anybody. Could be wrong. I'm not in the locker room and don't hear that stuff, right? But it just seemed like he elevated everybody. I mean, whether it was a PCO, whether it was a Penta, whomever. So that would be my argument for him. Again, this is me arguing for a guy that I wasn't a fan of. Like, I was like, I could take him or leave him. I appreciated what he did, right? I appreciated what it was. But again, I also put it in perspective. Every character is not for me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy some of his matches, and actually I enjoyed the Solomon Crow character back in the day. I just felt like it was a little bit out of place at the time. I actually think it would do better today than it did then.
100%. And low key, they're doing it with Shiloh Hill. So,
a little bit.
But I will say, I'll go ahead and bow out between you two. You guys go.
You got to give us a vote between the two.
I'm with it. No, I'm giving you. Man. Between the two, I love both. I love both of those guys. I love both of you all's arguments. I gotta go with Jordan Grace just because with Jordan Grace, there's a journey that's very entrenched with TNA. And that could be the journey physically because there are changes throughout her run with TNA. It could be the journey of her going from a tag team champion with the Knockouts to being a solo star and actually leading that division. Like, that's a journey in itself. And it absolutely matters because they still bring it up in her creative with NXT. Like, we're literally fresh off of this NXT TNA conflict, and she couldn't pick a side. She was a referee. Like, this proves or shows how much TNA means to her, or how much she's a part of TNA. No matter how long no matter the times that, we got to throw in the fact that she made the Women's Royal Rumble as the champion. Like, that's a big deal. Like, that's a big deal for that company. And it just speaks volumes to her importance to the recent run of TNA. If it wasn't for her efforts, her commitment, whether it's physically or emotionally and all that stuff, TNA wouldn't be in the position they're currently in, if not for a lot of the sacrifice and grind that someone like Jordynne Grace did. So for that reason, I got to give it to Jordynne Grace. But I love Sami Callihan. He knows that. Yeah. I bought him a slice of pizza before, so I love the guy.
And all fair, that is the other person I was thinking about. It was Sami Callihan. It was Eddie Edwards. It was Jordynne Grace. Obviously, these are just stalwarts of what we think of modern TNA, right? Which is weird to say because it doesn't feel modern to me because I lived through it.
Surviving, man.
It's so weird as a wrestling fan getting older. Yeah. But, that Chicago trip that we always allude to, Adrian and I got to meet him.
That's where I bought him some pizza.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I remember I still have the shirt where he had one shirt, and it was like he was doing the thumbs up, thumbs down, which I guess he's been doing forever.
Yep.
But he was in gimmick. I had him record a message to, for the kids or whatever, and he did the gimmick, and then he trailed off and off to the sunset, and he did his thing. But again, a commitment to growing wherever he goes, right? Because he was there for a stint, right, for that Chicago show. But you look back now, he is retired, I guess, to a point. I'm sure he can come out whenever he likes. But isn't he backstage now at TNA? Isn't he like a live events guy or something like that? Which is, again, to your point, awesome. Greg, it's like he's still investing and, putting back into the company that ultimately gave him his best runs, if you really think about it.
Yeah. I can go with my thing about Jordynne Grace and listening to what you said, Adrian. The one thing that I would say she has over Sami is she did elevate the company more. I feel like he was a stalwart. He was somebody who kept that bridge, but her relationship and how she handled herself with WWE elevated it
100%.
And because I think we'll start with Mickey getting into the Rumble first, and then her getting into the Rumble.
You're right. You're right. It was Mickey first. First. Yeah.
But them acknowledging TNA and their professionalism. Without that professionalism, you don't have the relationship.
Yeah.
There has to be that bridge, right? And for them to take a chance on Mickey, that's one thing. They know Mickey.
Right.
They didn't know Jordynne. So I would say Jordynne's probably the biggest reason for that. Well, I say the biggest, but a huge reason for the whole relationship.
Yeah. Right.
For sure.
Because if she goes in there, as a total diva, if you will, and
that can blow up a lot of stuff, man.
Yes.
Especially in that industry. We all know. Because
there was a time they didn't touch TNA talent.
Yeah.
And that changed with Triple H with NXT, but they weren't going to put him on main roster.
Right.
So
not like that.
So I can side with Jordynne Grace on this one.
All right. So we've decided. Okay. Right. I like it. So, that's a good four. That's a really good four.
That's a solid four, man.
Moose.
Reluctantly.
Josh Alexander, and Jordan Grace. I think that's one hell of a.
That's a good four, man. That's a really good four. That was a really good four.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, so everybody out there, I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. Let us know your TNA Mount Rushmore over the past 8 years.
Recent.
Not legacy.
Right.
Over the past 8 years. And why? Pop that down there and let us talk about it. Because TNA, with that, one big thing we got to talk about with TNA, you got to get, whether you loved it, didn't love it, or whatever from the beginning, it gave guys chances.
Yep.
And it gave a place for people to work. Jeff Jarrett risked it all.
Yep.
Dixie Carter comes in, does her thing without her money and her whatever. This company's not going. So I think today it may be 20 years down the road, they're seeing a lot of fruits of their labor. But man, it's just cool to see this company just keep going and keep pushing. And it's also should be an inspiration to all of us, right?
Absolutely.
As we talk about resolutions and New Year's and all that kind of stuff, it should be an inspiration that things don't happen overnight. But if you keep pushing, you keep working hard and keep the focus and pivot as you need to, success is there.
100%.
So, but yeah, you guys let us know what you think about this, what you think about these Rushmores, and give us ideas. What other Rushmores you want? We got a bunch of them we're thinking about. We don't like doing just the typical, who's your favorite wrestler? It's more of these like this. TNA's Rushmore over the past 8 years. I can't wait to do this again in a few more years and say, what's the TNA Rushmore of the AMC era?
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be fun. But for Adrian, for Adelaide, I'm Greg. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, share, all that kind of stuff. And we will see you next time right here on Talk 'em in the Building.